So please give a massively warm round of applause for Mr. Dan Chod!
But not as near as I'd thought. Got a little bit lost on the way here. How you doing? You enjoying the show so far? Yeah! It's been awesome, it's been awesome. Do you like my suit jacket, by the way? It's kind of a new look for me. Kind of a new look. Go for a bit sophisticated. I wear jackets now. Jackets are cool. You know, but thought I'd keep the Batman t-shirt on. Don't look too grown up. It's a bit like when I first came to London and my parents dropped me off at King's Cross. And I looked out across London and I thought, this is it. I've got a proper job now. I'm earning proper money in a proper flat. Adult life begins here. And in that very moment, I also slipped my Oyster card into my glove, walked up to the gate, put my hand across and said, Expelliarmus. And I walked through as if I was the Wizard of the Tube. Do you don't want to grow up too quick? It was quite a change actually moving here because I was at Exeter with Glyn in the West Country for 3 years. So coming to London, So coming to London was a bit of a shock. There were some big differences I noticed immediately. For example, building up to the Olympics, they made London a Wi-Fi city. Popped up Wi-Fi hotspots everywhere on the tube. Very exciting, you can get Wi-Fi for a limited period of time, but it's there. It's very exciting. In the West Country, however, Wi-Fi is actually just another name for witchcraft. They don't really trust technology down there. My mate had those Bluetooth headsets and they burnt him as a witch. It was horrific. The other thing I noticed is that if you're in London and you tell someone that you're dating your boss, people raise their eyebrows and they say, really, you'd be sure of that? It's a bit of a corporate taboo. Not in Exeter or the West Country, you know, down there they actually actively encourage you to marry your siblings, so the boss is actually up there, it's up there, it's fine, it's absolutely acceptable. However, that said, in Exeter, you would never see a smartly dressed businessman push an old lady to the ground before boarding public transport. However, in London, that's just your average Monday morning commute. You know, you need to get used to that. The other thing I noticed about London is there's a lot of what I would define as almost an excessive amount of toilet gremlins. I'm not sure if you've come across a toilet gremlin. They're quite mythical creatures. They're nocturnal, they only come out at night. They reside mainly in the public toilets of clubs and some pubs. They speak only in rhyme. They say things like, you know, no spray, no lay, you know, no money, no honey. Or as one said to me, no cash, no gash. I think he was a pimp, actually. But I find them quite off-putting. I don't know, I find public toilets a bit intimidating in the best of times, especially the male ones. But when I know that well, not that I go in female toilets, I'm perfectly comfortable with those. We go together, it's fine. No. Thank you. It's the thought of having toilet gremlin watching me that makes me particularly nervous. So usually I'll go in, and often I find there's like 6 urinals, and there'll always be 2 guys in there already. And they're at urinal 2 and urinal 5, which means I actively have to make a choice which of those 2 guys I feel most comfortable standing next to and peeing. They know I've made that choice too. Then to make it worse, because I know I'm being watched, I can't go. So then I am just a guy holding his penis next to another guy. Not doing anything else really, not doing anything else. I have to just kind of pretend I've gone. Go over to the basins where Toilet Gremlin, he is clever. He's got his array of mythical potions that he's trying to tempt me with. And also, he's broken one of the taps, so that I have to use the basin that he is seductively there by. So he does wash my hands with his magic soap, and that's not a euphemism before you get too much. I hope it's not soap. I'm sure it is. And then I feel, well, he's done that, but I've got to pay, but I know I haven't been, which means I pay him, I leave, and then I know 5 minutes later I'll take 1 sip of my pint, and I'll need to go to the loo again, and I'll start the whole process. Now I go with at least £20 worth of £1 coins just to get me through the toilet breaks in the evening. But yeah, the other thing about going out in London is it turns you into Cinderella. Because I didn't realise this, but I was out the first time, and clock strikes midnight, and half of the crowd go, "Shit, last tube!" And they dart out, leaving kind of a scattering across the dance floor of glass slippers, or if you're in Camden, Converse. And And people dart this way and that way all across London to get those last tubes before their magical carriage turns into the pumpkin that is the night bus. Some people have a phobia of the night bus. I personally don't mind the night bus too much. And I take comfort in the fact that it always seems the same to me. There's always the same people. When they get on there, often there'll be two girls that will get on, they start off giggly, and then throughout the journey I see them go through every emotion known to mankind, till they get off some horrible emotional wreck. I don't know quite how that happens. Also there's the man who's always being sick, and he'll always sit right at the back, in the middle, spewing into the aisle like some sort of horrific Charlie Dimmock water feature. It's disgusting. There's always an old man, quite smartly dressed, who looks completely out of place on a night bus. I assume perhaps he sat there in the afternoon and just forgot to get off. And he thought, you know what, I'll wait this out, I'll get off in the morning. See where I'm going. So he's there. And then of course there's the obligatory drunk man in the corner with his knob out. And I find it comforting, you know, and I'm unsettled when I get on and someone's missing. And often it will take me halfway through the journey before I realise the reason I can't see drunk man with his knob out is because it's me. Yeah, that's the sign of night has gone perhaps too far. Yeah, no, I've enjoyed what I've done. When I came here, I did English as a degree, which basically taught me one thing, and that was to point out how a book is basically about sex. That's what my English degree consisted of, and I wonder why, really, because of that, why don't enough guys do English? Pointing out sexual references and things is something that comes naturally to us guys. At primary school, girls are using dictionaries to work out spelling, we're looking up rude words. You know, at secondary school, you know, pointing out that sort of stuff gets you detention, whereas in English, I'm the physical proof that it gets you a first. Trust me. Some of those lecturers are horny. Okay? And, but no, it's got to a stage now, I can make any book sexual. And I told a friend this, and he said, no, I don't believe you. So I said, test me. So he said, okay, Harry Potter. I said, easy. You started on the easiest one. Teenage boys learning how to use their magic wands for the first time. Easy, okay? And he said, fine, I'll throw you Winnie the Pooh. And I said, please. The bear who can't keep his hand out the honey pot. Yeah, now I'll look at Winnie the Pooh in the same way again, all right? And he said, fine. Sleeping Beauty. I said, one word for you, my friend, Rohypnol. And he said, okay, I've got you with this, and I've got this one, Peter Pan. I said, are you kidding? That's the worst one. A creepy old man with a hook for a hand lives in a world where little boys never grow up. Disgusting filth. So yeah, I left uni with a degree in English, and I thought, what can I do with this? You know, I can't just point out sexual things all the time, although that said, when I'm sat on the tube on the Piccadilly line going west and the woman announces going to Cockfosters, I'm not the only man who giggles. She emphasises the cock. She does. But yeah, so I thought, what else does it do? And I realised it teaches you to bullshit. I can bullshit my way out of anything, really. And so I thought, well, that's either politics or PR. I don't care enough for politics, so PR it was. It's great. I'd like to say, you know, I would say I work in PR. Most people say to me, oh, PR, that's basically advertising, isn't it? Never say that to a proper PR person, right? Because they'll go mad. They'll say, it's not advertising. And they're right, you know. Because advertising works, doesn't it? It's true. But no, I'd say I'm not a proper PR person. But if you meet a proper PR person, especially in a networking situation, they'll be the sort of person that greets you like this. Hey! Oh, it's you! Oh, how are you doing? Where are you working? What are you working on? How many people in the Daily Mail have you been drinking champagne with? Actually, a little known fact is that PR is the only people outside of musical theatre who use jazz hands non-ironically. just in their everyday life, they're just using them, which is annoying as it is, but in a networking situation it is a nightmare, because I don't know if you've ever tried to put a business card into a jazz hand, but basically it just moves up all over the place. It's totally useless. Yeah, no, also working in PR has ruined the news for me. Like, this may be a reality check for some of you, but if you ever hear a news presenter say, new research has found that 80% of Britons, ... whatever they say next, is paid for rubbish, okay? Because I've worked on those surveys, yeah? I did one for a travel who remained nameless, but they basically did a survey that found out that 80% of Britons wanted a holiday abroad as their #1 holiday present for Christmas. And when I first saw the survey results, I was like, whew, that's made this campaign easier. God, if it was a Rolex or something, with this travel brand behind it, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare. Then I read the questions that they put forward for people to answer, and it ran something like this. The main question was, what would be your #1 present for Christmas? Would it be 1, a holiday abroad? Would it be 2, a punch in the face? Or 3, punch in the groin? Take your choice. I'm more worried about the 20% of people who went for either option A or B. It's ruined the news. It's also made me do some embarrassing things. I did a campaign for an air freshener brand where I had to make a video about it, and I did vox pops with people in the street sniffing a box that had either grass or cheese in it and telling me if it was grass or cheese. I called that game Grass or Cheese. I'm not sure what's most embarrassing actually, walking around the high streets of Bournemouth getting old women to smell my cheese. Or ringing the Guardian and saying, I've got a great story for you. Well, yeah, I know you're busy with, the economic downturn and politics and the war, but what you probably don't realise is that the nation's favourite smell is now baked bread. What do you mean, where's the news in that? Last year it was bacon sandwiches, and that's down to 7. Hello? Ruined my credibility in one phone call there. But the video is online, so check it out. It's better than having a job is better than not having a job. When I first graduated, I must have sent off hundreds of CVs, and I got nothing back. And one day I remember getting really depressed about this. So I went on, did my normal depression relieving thing where I play football manager. It's a wonderful, wonderful day. 10 minutes in, however, I got sacked from the Liverpool job. And then 3 hours later, I realised I'd spent 3 hours on a game where I was applying for jobs and not getting them. To escape applying for jobs and not getting them. I was literally virtually unemployable. And this year was a great year to be in London with the Olympics. Have you all watched the Olympics? Yeah! What I loved most about the Olympics was getting to watch sports I wouldn't normally get to watch. So, for example, judo was something I'd thought about. Well, I'm not weird, I don't just think about judo. It's something I'd come across before, but I'd never watched it. So there were certain things I was expecting, I won't lie. I was expecting kind of, ah! And it's, yeah! And most of all, I was expecting judo chop! Which did not happen. Basically, judo, it turns out, is just grabbing people. It's just basically what you'd see on a night out. It's that sort of grabbing. I'm not sure where I stand on male judo either. A lot of the time, they were wrapped in each other's legs. I'm pretty sure one time I saw a French athlete inside a German athlete. I don't know if that was a move. He got 100 points and won. I'm not sure. Really. Female judo, on the other hand, I'm more positive about that. Basically, just 2 pillows and a bucket of jelly away from my ideal Olympic sport there. My girlfriend said that she's not laughing. Oh, that's not going to happen then, is it? Okay, fair enough. So that was okay. But I also enjoyed Boris Johnson's performances during the Olympics. Did everyone see him on that zip wire when he got stuck? That was brilliant, Boris there. He's basically the political equivalent of Mr. Blobby, isn't he? He just sort of comes along, wobbles around. Boris. One day he will be Prime Minister and he'll rip his head off and there's Noel Edmonds in there the whole time. Gotcha! Best one he ever did. Best one he ever did. Yeah, the Paralympics as well were brilliant and very inspirational, but personally, less inspired. I was more just mortified at my own physical performance, in the sense that I sat there and watched a man with no arms and no legs swim faster than I have ever swum, and then watched a team of entirely blind footballers score more goals than any of my football team did for the entire season. To get inspired, I was sat there being like, I am shit. Shit! I should play sport, this is awful. And also, these guys have made medals cool now. It's the new fashion accessory, medals, isn't it? It's a very niche club. Not everyone's got a medal. I mean, some of us have got medals. Half marathon, 1 hour 56 is quite a good time, but it's quite a niche club. I think it works. I rock it quite well. I like to wear mine on a Sunday on a tube, in the hope that a partially sighted old person will come up to me and say how proud I've made them this Sunday. It's a real confidence booster when I'm feeling down. I like the half marathon actually was quite a good experience in my life. That was last year, about a year ago actually. And I remember starting off, I ran for a kids' charity. I remember starting off thinking, yes, doing this for the kids, got Robbie Williams on, doing it for the kids, yeah. Halfway through, when I was a broken man, and that song came back on, I was like, screw the kids. Where the hell are the kids? There's nothing wrong with them, why are they running for their money? I got overtaken by an 80-year-old woman. Then, to make it worse, I got overtaken by a man. A charity runner dressed as a giant cock and balls. Right? I really took the piss. Literally, it was an amazing costume. As he ran past me, and he turned back and he was like, ah! And I thought, oh, what did? But yeah, I was pleased that I finished that. Pleased I finished it, and it was a real milestone for me. But before I go, I'm just going to leave you with kind of like one last thing. Been looking back at my life, and I've realised that, you know, I've grown up now, and I never kind of went through the years of, I don't know, the women. I never really had those years where, you know, there's loads of women around, and you're doing women cool things, not women things. I didn't go through that stage. But you know, when you're a single man, and it's never really very good. So I looked back through my life. I couldn't really find the time, and then I found this. Basically, it's my Rupert the Bear 1995 diary from when I was 6. It doesn't start off very promising, I'll promise you. Basically, Monday the 2nd of January, I've written "Stayed at home." Doesn't really bode well for the rest of this diary. I'm also a sporadic writer. There are months where I literally write nothing at all for months. And then, so after 3-4 months of not writing anything, I write on May the 26th. So this is the first time I've written in 4 months. I've written, "My brother is a poo." What inspired me to write such hateful things out of months of not writing, I'm not sure, but I can only imagine it was the time he stole my animal dominoes, put them down his nappy, and pooed on them. And when I discovered that, I've been mentally scarred ever since. But July is the one that I really like this month here. Because in July, I've written this. Wednesday the 26th, went for tea at Emma's. Thursday the 27th, went down the park with Becky. Friday the 28th, stayed over at Zoe's. Fucking hell! 6-year-old me was a player! I was like Mambo number 5! So yeah, 1995, ages 6 to 7, the player years, that's going in my... But yeah, I'm going to head off now. I'm going to leave you with one last thing, some advice. This is basically my, like, hey Jude. I usually do this joke at the end of every set. There's people who've probably heard it before. If you've heard it, join in. I don't care, just join in. It's an easy joke. If you know the punchline, join in, it'll be fun. I don't know how fun it'll be, but just do it anyway. Basically, it's this. I was inspired by seeing the Spice Girls live at the Olympic ceremony. I say live, maybe. But basically, here's some advice I'm going to give to the guys in the audience particularly. Okay? Never take relationship advice from the Spice Girls. Okay? Because no matter how many times they insist it in their song Wannabe, if you want to be a girl's lover, under no circumstances, get with her friends. Yeah. Oh, yes, sir. Thank you very much!